people inherently, for some reason, just don't like to be sold to. They don't like to feel like they're being sold to. They like that game. They like that dance.
Welcome to the Fitpreneurs, the show that will help you flex your business muscles so you can make more money and live the life you really want. No more complaining, whining, or being a wimp. It's time to pump up your fitness business and push yourself beyond your comfort zone. So no girly man or lazy ladies allowed. It's time for me to do some push-ups and turn things over to my friends AJ Roberts and Simon Lovell. Hasta la vista.
You have mail. Welcome to the latest episode of Fitpreneurs with myself, Simon Lovell, and
AJ Roberts.
Guys, I'm so excited about this episode, not because of the awesome information we're going to provide during this episode, but I'm here in San Diego. I'm actually sat opposite the one and only world record holder, AJ Roberts. And do you know, I just want to picture the scene for everyone listening. It's almost like we're on a date. It's like AJ's like sat opposite me with his big kind of podcaster mic in front of me. I'm sat here because I've brought my podcaster mic with me. It looks like I'm holding a dildo, and
a big white dildo.
Indeed. And this is the scene. We're just sat here looking at each other, glaring each other's into
directly
each other's
in the direct eye contact. Not even paying attention to our show.
This episode is just going to be radically different just for this particular reason.
I know. So I feel like I'm getting the googly eyes right now. It's like you just had a moment.
Slightly awkward. I'm going to turn to the side so we don't maintain eye contact.
You know, we can probably have to put this R-rated or something.
Because I said dildo.
On iTunes.
I think a few swear words have already slipped in, so it doesn't matter.
Anyway.
So, guys, what are we going to be covering on this episode? We're going to be covering email marketing and the power of email marketing to radically increase your business. It's been amazing what email marketing has done for my business, and I know that AJ, in the businesses that he runs, email marketing plays a huge role in turning prospects into paying clients, be that mainly for AJ's business, digital products, and obviously my clients, digital products and, face-to-face personal training, semi-private training, that type of thing. So we're going to be covering lots of different topics around email marketing so that you can become more competent. And probably you've got a lot of different questions in terms of like, what happens if someone unsubscribes? No. And, what do I put as my headline? What should I put in my content? What do I do to get people responding to my emails? So we're going to be covering that in the episode. But AJ, what's been happening with us? You've been enjoying my company? I leave today.
I know. I have the party ready for tonight to celebrate the departure. And, it's been fun having you here. This time's been a really short trip. Usually you're here for
like a month.
And I literally have to kick you out of the house. But this time it's been a short trip. I'm actually sad to see you go, unfortunately. I know. It's going to be strange.
No,
you were in and you were out, and we've had a lot of fun since you've been here, going out, checking out the nightlife here in San Diego.
Oh, dude, last night was just amazing. Fantastic time.
Simon's never seen so many pretty girls.
Well, maybe slightly different.
You actually are on, this was just a quick pit stop. You've been on kind of a worldwide tour. You've been to France.
I was in Monaco and Cannes with Tony Robbins' Platinum Group, which was awesome. Flying around in helicopters. We did, I know that many listening are going to be fans of cars, and, you're a fan of cars, and I'm a fan of cars. We went into the French Alps, and literally, imagine, just picture the scene, those that are listening. A beautiful chateau in France, big, huge, multi-million-dollar chateau, and then below, it's like Batman's awesome cave, but in that cave is 30 different cars. You've got Ferraris, you've got Lamborghinis, and basically we spent 2 days, two half days, driving these cars around the French Alps, dodging cyclists, and they just gave us the keys and go, off you go in a Lamborghini Aventador. I'm like, awesome. So we just go driving through. It's amazing. Then we did helicopter rides. We went to Monaco and that track, which has got that bend, that famous bend. Actually, behind that is the Fairmont Hotel, and there we kind of partied and had a pool party, and it was just amazing. And then, stepped on a plane, went to Vegas, and went to a mastermind in Vegas. All of this amazing, awesome stuff, and then I'd land in San Diego and see you.
I know. I'm sorry to be but I'm not the end of the trip either. You're off here to Arizona for another event.
I'm going to Michael Bernoff's HIT training, which is kind of like, it's called Human Interaction Technology. I'm going to be spending 5 days there learning how to expand my mind, vision, and really help my clients, because it's all about, as much as about tactics and strategies, we're going to be talking about that today in terms of email marketing. A lot of growth comes when it comes to really building on your personal development and mindset. If you're not at the level of income you want to be at now, as much as it's, about the strategies, a lot of it is, pushing your mind and expanding your comfort zone and doing things and working on your own self-doubt, your own limiting beliefs, so that you can take yourself to that next level.
Yeah, you've been running around and I've been sitting here in San Diego enjoying the weather. Typically I'm the one traveling all the time every weekend, but right now it's in CrossFit Games regionals. So a lot of my seminars, we don't tend to hold a lot of seminars around that time due to everyone is participating or going to the competitions. And so actually I'll be out in Del Mar Fairgrounds this weekend for this. It's the regionals here in SoCal. And looking forward to that. And, it's been nice not to be traveling around and going to events and going to different things and just be here home with the dogs. And like I said, the weather here has been ridiculously hot. It cooled down a little bit this week. You brought some of that lame-ass British weather with you, I think, just hovering like a black cloud. But no, it's always 70 plus here. But we had a few days where it was up in the 90s, on the hundreds, which, it's not bad if you have AC, but most of the homes here don't. So, like, our office doesn't have air conditioning, so everyone was working from home. And
what was that beach we went down to? Where was that?
So we were down on Pacific Beach on Saturday. It was packed down there, eh?
And I experienced, as much as I'm hoping a certain person isn't listening to this, the most amazing ice cream with 2 cookies either side. What's that place called?
I can't even remember what it's called, but it's like the ice cream sandwich shop or something like that.
Anyway. That's crazy. Anyway, moving on. People like fast forwarding this bit. AJ, when was the turning point for you when it came to email marketing, when you first got exposed to it?
It's kind of odd because I've been writing emails for other people for a long time now. I think it goes back to like when I realized that the switch between the real key to financial freedom was marketing. And I made the switch to that. And when I was getting into it, like, email marketing was kind of a new thing in the sense that most people had not been utilizing it correctly. And I learned a lot of copywriting skills from old school direct response marketers who obviously had a bigger challenge with the mailbox and getting through and getting people to open the mail and getting people to read the mail and then to take an action, which was typically to go to a computer. Like back in the day, it was to fill out a form or to pick up the phone. Now it's to go to the computer. And so when I started learning this stuff, there was a lot of different things. And some of the original stuff I learned was very long form copywriting for email marketing, and it worked okay, but it was always, the concept of sell them in the email, right? So we basically, it was a sales letter packaged as an email, and it worked pretty good. But over time, we've developed quite a formula. Like I said, now it's more about them taking that next action, and it's almost like an ad you would run on Facebook or a short bit of teaser copy you would put in a classified ad. It's very similar to that, and so I have a couple of different formats that I use that we'll discuss today, and it works really well. I mean, I've sent emails that, have generated, hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales, and it's fascinating because you literally can hit send and get a response. And, I remember this one time we did a work with a client of mine. We did an email promotion and brought in $17,000, more money than they had brought in ever before, just by the structure of the email sequence. And I think that is what people don't realize is, when someone gives you their email willingly, if they're a client or if they sign up for something, they expect you to contact them. Like, that's why they gave you their email. And so many people are scared to actually reach out and email because they don't want the person to unsubscribe. And it's like, well, if you never email them, then what is the purpose of that interaction? How do they get to know you? How do you provide value? And so people tend to collect these email lists or build an email list or have a client list or a former client list, and they don't do anything with them. And they don't understand that there's so much, money sitting in that, and there's so much value they can provide to those people. It's a missed opportunity. And I've had the pleasure of writing copy, like I said, for a lot of the top people, and actually for a long time been writing copy for one of the world's greatest copywriters, my business partner. It's phenomenal when you have a big list, and which I've had the privilege of being able to test, to lists, 100,000 plus lists, 200,000 plus lists. Obviously, the metrics and the data and the information you get back is a lot more powerful, and you can see trends and you see patterns. And so that's what I hope to share today, is just basically what I've learned, where we're at, and kind of give people kind of a format here. They can go out and write quick, powerful emails. And there's lots of different ways to do it. So, if you already know a way or you've heard of other ways, I'm not saying that there isn't other ways to do it, but this is just what works really well for me and some of the other people that I've shared this with.
I just want to also talk about how I first got exposed to email marketing, and also talk about something which we've brought up on a previous episode. For me, I was personal training down in Exeter, and actually I took on a client, and he actually mentioned to me about kind of lead generation and email marketing, and basically for about a year I just ignored that advice. And I think everyone's done that, right? They've heard something and then not gone and actioned it, and they've thought, damn, if I had actioned that like when I was told, I would have accelerated a lot faster. And so what happened was I actually had my lunchbox diet, which turned into a Amazon bestseller and book deal with HarperCollins. But I had the ebook on the website, but with no opt-in. And then I decided to give a portion of it away, just a few chapters, and then grab an email address. And then it went into the national media, and I was just collecting email after email after email. And at that time, I didn't really know what to do with those emails. And then that's why I started learning about email marketing. So maybe many listening on this podcast today are like, well, I know I needed to put up a squeeze page and give something away for free, but now what's the next step? And I think for those listening, this is going to be a really powerful episode. But also just reminding me about the previous episode where we were, when I was working on Paleo in a Box. And it was here in January, a couple of years back, that we ran that promotion. I came up with that random idea to run a Super Bowl promotion, put out the email, and made thousands and thousands of dollars just from that one single email. So I just want to back up what AJ is saying, because obviously most of the time I disagree with him. But just kidding. Just want to back up with what AJ is saying, is that you start building an email list, a targeted, which we're going to talk about, targeted email database. And you start crafting some putting out some awesome content, but then start crafting some good offers, and you will see your income radically increase.
Yeah, you said something very important there, and before we move on, I think, I mentioned big lists and being able to test with big lists, but again, the real key to email marketing, it's not a big list or the biggest list you can have. It's the most quality list you can have. You want people who are going to interact, respond, who are going to who appreciate getting your emails. There's so many reasons for that, spam filters and all that fun stuff. But in reality, there's no point and we regularly clean our lists, so we regularly get rid of unresponsive emails and remove people who don't open them in 30 days and things like that, because it's a waste having them on your list. So the key again is quality over quantity. And remember, these are real people too. So the size of the list is not that important. It's that quality of the list, the interaction with you. So even if you have a small list, you could have 100 people. If those 100 people are fans of yours, you're gonna be successful with email marketing, and you're gonna make money. And the beautiful thing is, again, this is just another piece of the puzzle. The reason email marketing is so powerful, though, is email is a personal thing. It's a little bit more personal than Facebook. Just showing up on someone's news feed. And, everyone is checking their email constantly. And you shouldn't do that if you listen to this as a fitness professional. We've briefly mentioned email, control and time management and not spending all your day in the inbox. But your clients most people are. The truth is, what you need to understand is what we're going to share with you today is really how to stand out and how to grab someone's attention. And again, if someone's just on your list to maybe get some random advice, what will happen is when they're curious, the beginning, they'll open your emails and then they'll drop off because they lose interest, and you'll just be sitting there in their inbox. And so we want to avoid that. So, what we're going to share today really should help you guys. Even if you have a list that's not responsive, hopefully we can get that active, get that moving for you, get some action there for you. And if you're looking at building a list, you go out with this formula here and essentially be able to generate income on demand. And like I said, it's literally like pushing send. And some people I know, they literally just send an email every day. That's their business model. And they do very, 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 very well. So
good stuff. So meat and potatoes. So what we want to talk about first is really What needs to happen before you even start writing the email, before you whack open your laptop or really start to put those words into, whether it's Aweber or Infusionsoft or MailChimp or whatever you've decided to use. And we've actually, just quickly on this, but before we go into this, guys, if you're thinking, what do I use? Just find something and roll with it, okay? Maybe you've got something existing or maybe Aweber is right for you, but don't spend a load of time just wondering what I should use. Just pick something and go with it. Because the amount of time you don't do that, you're losing money, right? So the first thing you need to think of is really, who are you speaking to? And this is why it's really important that you find your niche. Who do you typically work with? So if you're a trainer and you typically work with fat loss clients, then you need to directly speak to that audience. We'll talk a little bit about segmentation later. But once you know who your target audience is, then you're going in without a shotgun approach. You're going in with a laser targeted approach. If you're working with fat loss clients, then we know that their biggest challenge, as my experience from the lunchbox diet is that a big thing is yo-yo dieting. I ran a survey and I asked, what is your, biggest challenge? And instead of having tick boxes, I asked for the descriptive text. And the thing that came up again and again and again was, I don't want to be yo-yo dieting anymore. And also belly fat, that's a big thing, So once we know what the target demographic is and we know what the biggest challenges are of that market, then we can start to craft, and we know who we're speaking to. And also, what are we speaking to them about? And, you can get different ideas on, forever short of emails, and just base it on conversations you've had with your clients. Because if they have challenges, that means other people are going to have other challenges too. You may want to look on forums at the biggest discussion threads and come up with topic ideas then and find out what people are speaking about, what the commonalities are, so that you can craft things there. And then really we need to think about what action do we want somebody to take. We don't want to just open up the email box and start writing the email and not have an intention for that content. Because if you do that, then, even if it's just to get an interaction, like a micro commitment, which is what we talked about on the last issue, or whether it's to invest in something or whether it's to take another action, you just need to, before you even craft the email, know who you're speaking to, what are you going to be speaking to them about, and then what is the specific action you want them to take? What's the end goal for you?
Yeah, because, the most important thing to understand with that email is that we're not just sending it to, say, hey,
how you doing?
How you doing? What's up? We want a response from them. And like you said, it could be just an interaction as a response is, hey, what do you think about this? Let me know. Click here to watch this video that goes deeper into it. Click here to check out this product. Click here to sign up for the bootcamp. Click here to whatever it is. We need to lead them to that next action. Essentially, we want a micro commitment, which is a yes. We want them to say yes. We want them to move their journey with us forward. That's what the purpose of the email is to move them further in their journey with us, whether that becomes a paying client or maybe builds a little bit more trust, a little bit more authority for us so that when they are ready to pull the trigger, we're the person they think about to do that. Because we mentioned this before, and I won't go into too much detail here because we have so much to cover. But in reality, you're going to have people on your list who are ready to take action today. They're fed up, they're sick and tired, they're screaming for help, and they're ready to just go, yes, I'm all in. Then you're going to have a large group of people, the majority of the list, who know they need to get in shape, but they don't have that burning desire. They don't have that absolute necessity. And they're the people that they're looking for motivation and a reason to move. So
we're accelerating the process to move them further up so that they are primed to buy.
Right. And then you've got the people on the list who are basically window shopping that, they think they should go on a diet, but it's always, I'll start on Monday.
And they just want something for free.
And they want something for free. And those are obviously not the people we're talking to.
And this brings me on to something really important, which is now you understand the grouping of these different types of people on your email list. This is why it's important to not worry when you get an unsubscribe, right?
Right, exactly, because we want people to unsubscribe, and here's why. We don't want people on our list that don't want to hear from us and who are not ready to move forward with us, because at the end of the day, we can't speak to everyone on that list. We have to have a very targeted avatar, and in fact, if you can give them a name, a job, you can go into detail, and maybe we should do something on avatars another time. But
I'll put on a blue onesie for that.
Okay. But the more specific you can get to the person you're talking to, the better. And you always want to write email as if you're talking to one person. That's the key. You don't want to talk to the group. You want to talk to one person, and that person, because the people listening will resonate, say, hey man, they're talking right to me. It's like they're in my head. That's what you want. You want those people.
I had someone the other day I took on as a client, And that was his actual words. He said, the words were, I got into his head, but he didn't know why. And actually, I think it was through video. But yeah, you can, some of your emails are going to resonate. They're going to be bang on the money, and they're going to be like, this is resonated with me, and others aren't.
Exactly. This is exactly what I need right now. Or someone's going to say, oh, this has nothing to do with me. And so it's about getting more of the this is exactly what I need, and this has like nothing to do with me. So unsubscribes aren't bad. The thing we have to remember, with email now is, like I mentioned, when I got into email marketing, it was very much long-form emails, typically asking for a sale at the end. And as time has gone on, we've gone from desktop computers to laptops to basically mobile devices. And most people are checking email now on a cell phone, on an iPad, a tablet device, something like that, and they're checking it regularly.
While they're watching movies.
Yes. So basically what they're doing is they're almost swiping left, swiping right, yes, no, whether they want to respond. And so if the email is really long, like they don't read it right there and then because they usually don't have time. What they're doing is processing, do I want to read this? Do I not want to read this? What is this about? And so again, it's about pattern interrupts and causing disruption in their flow because most of the time they're just looking to delete. And most people don't unsubscribe. Here's the real key. A lot of people don't unsubscribe from email things because there's that pain of disconnect that if they do unsubscribe, they'll miss something at some point that's important or they won't be able to go back. So they stay on the list, but they never actually read the words you write. So really right now, what I'm finding works really good is short and sweet. All right. So if you know who you're speaking to, you know what you're speaking about, you have the action in mind that you want them to take, and you keep it short and sweet, that together is a very, very powerful combination. And there's really three important things to remember, and it's really like they must know who you are. Like when you reach out to them, the people should know who you are already. So don't buy email lists from people. Don't scrape. Don't do any of that stuff because if the people don't know who you are, that's such a huge barrier to have to overcome. Because the first reaction is, well, who is this person and why are they reaching out to me? The days of cold calling or cold emailing are pretty much done. And I'm not saying I know some people who do email solo drops and things like that, and they get good results. But
can you explain what an email solo drop is for those?
Well, an email solo drop is basically when you pay someone else to mail their list for you. And it's kind of like an endorsed mailing, but most of the time, the people that are doing it's not. If you ask me, it doesn't produce the best clients. All right, and it works good with low, cheap stuff, but for the services that personal trainers will be providing, I don't really think there's much use for it, to be honest, in my opinion. So, that's the first thing. Make sure you're building the email list, and while you're building in your email list, you're building rapport with them. We want to make sure that they know, like, and trust us, and that can be from driving them from Facebook through like a video on Facebook, and then they click through to join the email list, and now we have them on the email list. And of course, you could be most of the time you're going to be giving something away, or letting them move forward by giving you their email address. So that's what we want to do. And then lastly, make sure whatever it is you're doing, you kind of create that irresistible offer. Whatever is the end goal, what the action you want them to take, you want it to be irresistible to them. So when you're writing that email, you've got to think like, how can I make this action that I want to take? Maybe it's just clicking a website, but how can I make it so they can't not click, right? So we don't want them to think, oh, I can ignore this. We want them to be like, I have to click this link. I have to do this action. I cannot not do it. It's like one of those. Like my day, if I don't do this right now, for the rest of the day, I'm going to be wondering what would have happened if I did, right? And that's the irresistible offer. So when we're crafting that, if they know you, like you, and trust you, and then you put in front of them, you basically dangle the carrot in front of them, they're going to bite. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that bite. We really want them to jump on the offer immediately. We don't want them to think about it. We don't want them to contemplate it, because the truth is, and think about this, guys, when you listen to this, think about your own actions. How many email lists are you on? How many out of those email lists do you actually read every day? And beyond that, how many of those do you save and think I'll go back to that later, but never do? I know I have so many unopened emails that I see the subject of it, I kind of get a feel for what it's about, and I say, I'll save that because I want to come back to it. I never come back to it. Or I go in and there's a video and I'm like, oh, I don't have time to watch the video. So that's what it is. So, essentially that's what is important. And you got to just keep plowing through those things and refining and tightening up your message. When you do that, you're going to have powerful, powerful emails.
Now we've got loads of content to get through. one of the most respected copywriters in the world is, well, he's passed away now, Gary Halbert. And his son Bond actually did an interview with him for my blog. He talks about the email A and B pile. And really, this just breaks down, when you're looking for someone to take an action, we just need to break it down into steps. And we can look at, magazines and newspapers as an example of this, but obviously it's translated over into email, which is the first thing is, am I going to open this? Second thing is, am I going to read this? And the third thing is, am I going to respond to this? So once you break these things down, you have to understand that the email that you send, its result is based on the headline, the copy, and the call to action. That's essentially what these three things are, right, AJ?
Yeah, and it's like the AB pile, Gary's original story is basically when people get their mail, they sort their mail over a trash can, right? And they literally just, delete, they throw away the mail that looks like junk or spam.
Like if you get something in the post and it's got that kind of credit card logo on it, it goes straight in the bin.
Exactly. Or does it look personal? Does it look from someone I know? And
if it's handwritten, for example, and it's got a stamp on it, you're going to open it.
Yeah. So when we look at that in terms of email, and you think about the way the email is going, you have priority inboxes, you have promotional folders, you have all this stuff. Our goal is to get into that priority inbox. Our goal is to get into the messages that people read. And the way we do that is obviously conditioning our list from the beginning when they sign up to white label us, to add us to the contacts, to do all those fun stuff. And the other thing, though, is to make your emails fit in. And we talked about this about Facebook and being native within Facebook and looking like you fit in, like you stand out by fitting in, right? It's the same with the emails. And if you think about, if you were going to write an email to your girlfriend, boyfriend, or your husband, wife, or your family, like your mother, your father, like your headline for the email, it's not going to sound like a sales message, right?
Special offer.
It's like you say, "Hey, what's going on? Hey, wanted you to see this. You should watch this." It's a very short subject line that leads them to that next action, and we're going to get into that. So, but the AB pile, basically, that's what people are doing when they open their inbox. They're looking at their emails, and literally, I've seen people do this. They click checkbox, 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 delete, right? And we don't want to be on that checkbox. Right? And the way we do that is what we're going to get into here. And hopefully you guys, I'm telling you, if you guys follow this, your open rates, your click-through rates, everything is going to go up. And you're really going to start to see amazing results with this. And it will continue to go up because people will be excited to get your emails,
When you hit that send button, okay, and it arrives, and let's say that I'm sat here now in my laptop and I send that email on it, and AJ's got his laptop there right opposite me, and it arrives in his inbox. The first thing is going to be, like, who's it from?
Well, the first thing now is the subject line, right? The subject line is first. And that's really where it all starts. And, if anyone has written copy before or knows anything about sales letters, you literally have minuscules of seconds to capture someone's attention, right? And remember, we were talking about A-B pile. We want to look like we fit in. So the subject line really is going to influence their decision on whether we belong in that inbox or not, whether it looks like spam. And so we basically need to use words, compelling words, that makes them want to open that email, right? The real thing is we need it to look like it came from a real person, not a company, not promotional stuff. We need to get came from a real person so it gets their attention. And basically, it moves them into opening that email. So that's the first thing we see. Then we see the from address. And that's where most people forget that it's a dead giveaway if they use their business name or they use, if they don't use, like if I was writing, Simon at Fitpreneurs.com, that's personal. But if I'm writing support at Fitpreneurs.com, I don't feel like I'm talking to a person.
Exactly.
So then when I get an email from them, I just assume that it's a junk email, that's not a real person behind the computer, right?
It actually shocks me, actually, that I get this a couple of regular emails from big brands. And it shocks me that even still now, these big brands, their monthly email that they send out has April newsletter. And, I can't imagine the amount of business that has been lost for the size of the email list that they have.
Right, and the other thing is, they do the newsletter thing, and people they don't have time for that shit. Like, no one's got time to read, 20 different things.
One action.
Yeah, it's ridiculous when they have all these different, check out these 6 articles and do this and do that, and it's like, No one has time for that. People are so, like, we live in such a fast world now that literally, like, people are social media in the bathroom. Like, I mean, we're off track here, but I'm going to tell the story anyway. I travel a lot, and I'm in a lot of restrooms at the airport. And without fail, every single airport I go to, every time I go to the restroom, there is someone in the cubicle on the phone.
Yeah.
They can't even turn their phone off to take a dump. Like, that is the world we live in. People are peeing and having conversations. I
did it yesterday.
And you think to yourself, seriously, you can't even take a piss in private? Like,
yeah,
you're bringing it, like they're talking to their business partners, their employees, their wives. It's like, man, this is a private area.
It's
good
job they don't take selfies at that point, right?
Well, I'm sure some people are taking selfies. But so that's the thing to remember is everyone is so busy. So we've got subject line. We have to get personal. All right, get personal in that subject line. Make it sound like it's coming from someone. And you can use things that aren't personal and get away with it, but it's a dead giveaway that there's a promotion or something inside. So keep that in mind. Second thing is the from address. Use your name at your business or use, a private email that if they do respond to it, that you'll respond back to them. Like, don't be scared of interacting with people. Like, no one does it. So when you do that, it ups the level of your service, no doubt. And you will never be overwhelmed. It doesn't matter how big your list is. The response rate is not going to be ridiculous, until you get like 1 million people on a list or something like that. But, if you've got a couple of hundred people, a couple of thousand people, even, 30, 40,000 people, you're going to be able to handle the response rate. Because just most people just aren't going to respond. They'll think about it, but they won't ever hit respond because that's the nature of people. So that's the second thing. Then the third thing, and this is before we get in the email. This is just looking at the inbox. Remember this. That's that first line of that email. All right? That first paragraph of the email. They see that in a preview. All right? So we have to remember that first line is very important. So they're going to see the subject, they're going to see who it's from, they're going to see the first line of the email in most email inboxes. And so if we can nail those three things and get them to open the email, we've made them take micro commitment number 1. So we've moved them forward, as far as we could at that point.
Good stuff. So when it comes to the email itself, we just want to write the email as if it's just one person that's going to be reading it. When you're sitting down to craft that email, just picture that person in your mind. Whether it's, a good thing to do is just like a client, like a most common client, and just think about how they're feeling, think about what they're doing at that time, and you're just going to have a much more of a direct response, and you're just going to connect on that level. Just imagine you're just writing that, as AJ mentioned earlier, just imagine you're writing that email to a friend, Don't get all kind of technical and stuff. Just be honest and raw. Just go, hey, what's up? Send me some money. No, I'm just kidding.
Buy my shit.
Yeah. So, AJ, what's your thoughts on images within emails?
Yeah. So, remember, everything we're doing here is to avoid them feeling like we're a salesperson. We've talked about this before. When you go to a car dealership, like most of the time you're wanting to buy a car. But if the person comes up to you, you say you've been browsing. Same as if you go into a clothing store, someone says, do you need help? Usually you say, no, I'm good. Because we don't want, people inherently, for some reason, just don't like to be sold to. They don't like to feel like they're being sold to. They like that game. They like that dance. So when they open the email, and if you use an HTML email, and not an HTML email, but a template, right? One of those newsletter templates. If you use the templates and they have the logo at the top, and it'll say like, oh, these images, like click here if this email doesn't show up correctly. Click here if the turn images on, and some changes are coming where that's actually not going to be an issue moving forward. Images will automatically be on it. We're seeing that move forward. So this isn't a golden rule. It's not set in stone. But typically, if there's anything that tips them off that this isn't a personal email, right? As soon as they open it, that all of a sudden they see like this is sometimes it says this is not sent from the address above, or turn images on. Click here if the email is not displaying properly. These all things, they just tip you off. It's like, oh, okay, this is from a company. It's not from a person. And that's the thing. Like when we're deciding what's important and do we have time to read it, the minute we feel like this isn't going to be relevant to us because it's just going to be a pitch for something, they bail. All right. So careful with your email, careful with your graphics in your emails, don't do too many. And if you do them, train your people to turn those on permanently, You can do that with the very first email that you send, and get them to do that. But again, emails that are short, personal, the less stuff in it to throw them off, the better.
Something which I do in my emails when I do use images is that if I'm sending out to a blog which has got a video, then I tend to just put a screen grab of the video in there with like a play button, which increases the click-through. And because it's like there's a video in the email. So they see, if you pick like a really odd still of that picture and then, use something like Photoshop or an image editing program and put like a play button over it, the natural reaction is like, oh, what's this? It's a video. Click it and you'll get more click-through from that.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, people send videos to each other and in emails and things like that. So it's not unusual to get that, but if we're looking for the path of least resistance, use images sparingly or train your list to have those turned on already, But let's say we get them to open the email. They're not thrown off by anything. And another big thing is if you write dear first name or hey first name, because you forget to change the code when you go into, you wrote it in a template in the word processor, and then you dumped it in your email formatter and you forgot to change that code. So make sure if you're going to use short body code, for those who maybe not send emails, you have the ability to put everyone's first name in if you capture that. And so it'd say, hey, Dan, hey, Simon, But a lot of people forget to change the code to the correct.
What happens if you've been grabbing name and email, but then only started grabbing email later on? Then
you just say, hey. You always want an opener. You always want an opener. Everyone, whenever I write anyone, friends or not, I don't just start with the email.
Hi, Simon.
Yeah, I say, hi, Simon, or hey, what's up, So you want that opener, and then you're going to go into the email. Now, there's two ways to do it. There's kind of short, and then there's short. And when I say short, I mean Dean Jackson has a phenomenal formula. We've used it, the 9-word email, where it's literally it's just a question that gets them to respond. All right, and so
hey, you just wanted to know if you needed some help with your fat loss. If you
do you still need help losing weight? Do you still need help gaining muscle? ? And then people will respond, right? So that's the shortest thing you can do. It works really, really well. So you open with their name, attention, you ask a question. The message is super tight. There's only one answer to it, yes or no, pretty much. And then you give them the immediate call to action, shoot me a response, hit reply, whatever it is, and then thanks very much. And so if you haven't emailed your list in a while and you haven't
got interaction, this is a great way to spark that. It's also a great way to segment your list, because you can say, you can break off men from women, because you can specifically craft the message for one or the other. And then whoever clicks and opens, we can target those people, because your email providers allow you to create lists off of unopens and clicks and things like that. So now you can create a secondary list, and you it could be just your hot list, people who are taking action. It could be whatever it is. So that's the key, Literally, it's just, hey, John, I put, if you have a free report. Hey, John, I put this free report together. Take a look and let me know what you think. Link to download the PDF. And all the people who click will get to that report. You can then segment that list, and because they're interested. If you said, put a report together on how to lose 6 pounds in 30 days, or how to tighten your tummy in the next 2 weeks, and they click it, they're interested in that. And then you can follow up with the next step, right? You can follow up. So that's kind of the short body, and it's really just literally one line. You could craft the best email. It could tap into all of the emotions. It could get people excited. It could get them to want to work with you. But if you leave someone hanging, it's like two people meeting at a bar, and it's like their eyes meet. They start chatting, and they've got this massive attraction for each other. But one person's shy, and the other, there's this huge attraction there. Just picture the scene. And then, just nothing. They break away, and they don't see each other again, right? So my point here is that you could really tap into the emotions of someone via email. They could believe it's awesome and they could want to work with you. But if you don't, ask them to take an action, like, hey, do you fancy meeting up again? Right?
Yeah.
Same thing. If you don't ask for that micro commitment, or you don't get them to take an action, the whole thing's been wasted, and that could have actually been a really, really good email.
Yeah, people miss the power of asking, and people don't know what they don't know. And if they don't know, you want their feedback, or they don't know you want to work with them, or you have openings to work with them, like, or you have programs that will work with them, like, they won't reach out to you because they just think you're either busy or don't have anything for them. And so you have to ask them whatever you want. You have to ask them, and that's why at the very beginning we said you got to know the purpose of the email,
and you've got to make it really clear. Like, I mean, I'll post stuff on Facebook, and it's like I put clear actions: step 1, step 2, action. And some people can't even do that.
Yeah.
So we have to be super, super clear, like it's a child telling a child what to do.
Exactly. And then the other way, so that's a great way if you've not interacted with your list and you haven't done, haven't communicated with them for a while. That's a great way to get that reaction. So if you have a list right now, you have maybe it's former clients that you haven't worked with in a while. You could just send them a message saying how they're doing and let me know if you know how the weight loss is going, or you could basically start a reactivation campaign this way. So this is a great format for that. But obviously you're not going to do that all the time. You got to have more substance sometimes in your email marketing. And so that's kind of the short body copy that I'm going to talk about now. And again, there's so many different ways to do this, that this is just a way that I found that works really, really well. Basically, the open of the email, we have the question, we have something that grabs their attention or a question. We want to keep the messaging super tight still, so we're very to the point, all right? We have an immediate call to action, and that's at the beginning. So maybe it's 1 line, 2 lines, and then we have a link to click immediately. Then we have the body of the email, which we go into more of the backstory about what the link is. So if it's an interview, this would be where you say, in this interview, you're going to learn this, this, and this, right? So we go into that. We give with bullet points. And then we have a second call to action to click the link again. And then we finish off by summarizing what the whole email was about. We sign off, and then we give the PS, which is another reason for them to click the link, okay? So this is powerful when we email regularly, okay? And the key here, though, is to not give away what's on the other side of that link, all right? So, for instance, if you're talking about the interview and what's in the interview, don't give away the answer, right? So say you're going to learn the keys to time management. Don't say you're going to learn how to manage your time by doing this, this, and this, right? So it's about the cheese. We're basically, and this again, it's another Dan Kennedy thing, cheese and whiskers. We want them to have to click the link to find out what's going on, what we're talking about, who did we interview. So we can't give away the farm in the email.
What you want to do is you want to create also an open loop. So, if you've got an interview, you might want to say in that email, there's something profound in like 8 minutes within that interview. And then you've opened a loop in their mind and they have to know what it is.
Yeah, I really like to do that in the PS. I learned that from Andre Chaperon, the open loops in the PSs or PPSs, because a lot of the times people, if it's a longer email, they'll open it, they'll scroll to the bottom, and then they'll scroll back to the top, right? Because they just want to see who's from, or they want to see what the thing is at the bottom. So they'll scroll to the PS. And so I really find like open loops in the PS, it plays on their mind. Like if they do go back up, they're still thinking about, well, what's at 8 minutes and 11 seconds? I better click this link. And so again, we open the email very short, like, hey, Brett, like open the email would be like this. Hey, just got done recording a new interview for you, posted it over at the blog. Here's the link. In this interview, you're going to learn how to control your mindset. How to
10 minutes.
How to control your mindset in 10 minutes. And, we cover this method. So like the PQ
Slap your ass method.
Yeah, right. So we do this, we do this, we do this. Again, check it out here. Go watch it now. Go listen to it now. And then summarize it. Like this really is going to change your life, because this 10 minutes is going to show you basically how to avoid any resistance, any fear, any anxiety you ever have, so that no matter what situation you're faced with, you'll be able to overcome it and move forward in your business. Enjoy.
A way that you could translate that into a fat loss scenario might be, here's a 10-minute video which will completely radically change you overeating late at night.
Exactly. Yeah. And
then in the PS, explain why the PS is so important.
Well, it's just, it's another way. Everyone writes PS. It keeps the conversation open. And it's also, like I said, a lot of people scroll to the end right away. Mm-hmm. So it's that if they scroll to the end and there's no PS, it's just your signature.
Exactly.
We miss that opportunity to give that extra touch. So that's why PS is so important.
always include the PS.
So, there is, like we mentioned, there is other ways to do the email marketing and autoresponders and stuff like this. Stuff like that.
I think we could do a whole episode on autoresponders.
Yeah, there's so many different things we could talk about. But this, in terms of just emailing, if you're not regularly emailing, you're emailing every once a week or something like that. These two formats, these are the most powerful I found, and they work all the time. People overcomplicate it. And I always tell people, when in doubt, less is more. And here's why less is more. And I tested this. So I tested this. There was a very famous person we interviewed who we assumed that would get a great response from our list. But we test pretty much everything. So I did an email that revealed who the person was, and then I did an email that didn't mention his name.
Split test.
The email without his name got a higher click-through rate because there was curiosity, whereas the email with his name, people just say, "Oh yeah, I know who he is, I know what he's about," and there was less of an interest because of the curiosity. Right, because it's kind of like people start to make assumptions and tell stories in their own head and make up like what's coming, what the interview's about. Like, oh, I've already listened to if it's someone they've listened to before, they might think they're not going to learn anything. And so I always tell people, when in doubt, less is more. People always try to write too much, I find, in emails, and I have the opposite opinion. I think less is more.
I mean, if you're good at copy and you're good at storytelling and you've got that down to a craft, that's a learned skill, right? But if you're new, and most people listening to this episode are going to be fairly new to email marketing, it's about getting actions done and getting money in. Yeah,
we need them out of their inbox as quickly as possible. We don't want them. It's the same as for advertising on Facebook. We don't want them hanging out on Facebook. We want them off of Facebook. We want them out of the email. We want them to move to that next step, whether it's reading a sales letter, whether it's picking up the phone and calling us, scheduling a session with us, seeing what's going on with our boot camp and inquiring. Whatever the action is, we want them there as quickly as possible. Right? And then that's the job of the next step.
And just understand that, you might be in a situation whereby you send a couple of emails and you've not had a response to it. And that is not the time to give up, guys. The time to, you've got to be consistent. And you've got to understand also is that I've mentioned this before in different episodes, that everyone's on a different buying cycle. So your email may just hit them at the right time. They may be in a restroom, they may be sat there, they may be going, "Oh my God, I'm so overweight and I don't want to, I've got to change." And that email just may hit at the right time with the right message and the right offer. So don't get disheartened that you've done stuff in the past and it hasn't worked. Just need to change the strategy, start putting awesome content out there, start adding some call to actions, start making it more personal and be consistent, and you'll start to see results.
Yeah. And I'm going to give you guys some hacks here, because at the end of the day, I've been writing copy for a long time, 8 years now, and I've written it at the highest level and generated a lot of money doing it. So a lot of this stuff to me is very natural. And Simon is a great copywriter as well, and creative guy, very natural. For a lot of you, this is going to be a struggle. I can bang out a world-class email in less than an hour if I focus and I really put it down. I don't know if that's a good thing to admit, when you charge a lot of money, people tend to like to think that you spend a lot of time on it. But, when you're good at what you do, you can write fast, right? But when you have to think about this stuff, it's going to take a long time. And some of you guys, it might take you a good part of the day, if not a day, to write an email, And I got an intern right now, or not intern, a copywriter we hired right now, and he's new to the game. He's only been writing since the end of last year. And so he writes great copy, but it takes time, right? And so time isn't really the best friend of everyone. We're so busy. You guys are training people. You're running online programs. You got a lot going on. So I want to share some hacks real quick. And this isn't in our show notes, so I'm going off script. Simon's looking at me like, what the heck is going on?
No, you carry on.
But it goes back, and we may have talked about this with Facebook ads before. I can't remember. But so here's the thing. Subject lines, right? If you want powerful subject lines, just look at the websites that curate content. Because places like dig.com, Upworthy, and sites like that, they pay copywriters a fortune to write headlines for them and short body copy, okay? And they also, most of them have images as well, so you can see what kind of powerful images people are using. But those two sites are really strong sites. You can go to like yahoo.com, news sites, anywhere that has headlines, right? And you can start looking at those headlines and start rewording them for your business. Headlines, body copy, all of those things really are going to help you shortcut the learning curve here, because they're some of the highest direct response copywriters, and they're getting paid to basically elicit a response on the interwebs to people who are not necessarily interested in what they are. And so you see this stuff on Facebook, and like the stuff that goes viral, this is what they're getting paid to test and to do. And so all the headline formulas and all the things that you would learn in a copywriting course, and we could spend I could spend probably 5 days teaching copywriting, right? These guys, they're cranking out every day mass amount of content, and you can see all the formulas and everything there. You might not understand them, but when you go there and you read like the best weight loss pill, you can use that for the best trainer in town, the best supplement you can take, the best, so it's that formula, and you can see these on many of these different sites. My favorite right now is dig.com. Upworthy is a great site. Simon, do you know any sites that curate content or put content together? Alltop.com, and you can see a lot of the top websites there, right? You can click through, and usually the reason they're top websites is because they have attention-grabbing headlines, powerful body copy that makes people click through and read the rest of the article. And there's a reason that when people create their articles and stuff, there's multiple pages, multiple steps. It's because, again, it's those micro commitments. The more you can get someone to interact, engage, the better. And so we don't want to give away, I believe we don't want to give away the farm in the email, because we want them to move forward in that relationship with others. And so whether it's clicking a link to watch a video, then they click a link to see the sales page, or to give you, or the phone number crops up, and it's that call to action to pick up the phone and call you. Whatever your goal is here, the email is just that first step to move them forward in the journey. I've given you the formula. You have some websites you can go look at. You do those things, and I'm telling you, the ideas will just flow. And current events is a huge thing to talk about. People are going to love that. Anything that's going on. Look at the news, Google News and all those different things. You can go to the categories. Huffington Post has a fitness category now. So it's easy for you to grab national relevant content to discuss and to talk about and to give your thoughts on, or to your advice on, to things like that. And again, let's say you are going to give your advice on something. What you would do is you would write a blog post or make a video. The email would drive them to that. Then that would drive them to the next step. So we're moving them along. We're moving them along a journey with us. All right. So just keep those things in mind. Of course, if you have any questions or anything, shout us up, Facebook, message us, whatever. We love to see you guys taking massive action. And so anyone who's doing this and needs any direction or anything like that, feel free to blast us on one of the social media sites. Or leave a comment under the episode, I guess, on the website.
Absolutely. Guys, as always, we're going to be doing our little finishing up stuff. We've got some cool announcements for you, so stay tuned. But we really want your feedback. We would love if you could just open up iTunes and head to the review section and just whack the 5 stars. Would be awesome. And just write in there what you think of our episodes. You've maybe been listening to all the way from 1 through to, what number are we on?
This is number 8.
You may have been listening all the way from number 1 through to number 8, and just if you could spend some time and just put an honest review on what you think, we would love to read those. We always love your feedback. And you can connect with myself and AJ over at Facebook, or head to our websites, all the details, and you can connect with us over at thefitpreneurs.com. We're also opening applications for our mastermind, so you can head over to thefitpreneurs.com/mastermind for details on there. Also, myself and AJ are developing an awesome new product. And if you head over to thefitpreneurs.com/start, there's a little page there where you can enter your details. And we're going to be giving away some copies of this program at some point. I just want to tell you a little bit about it. We find that, especially when I'm working with my clients, as much as it's about strategies and tactics, and I've got systems in place for my clients to generate a big income, be it passive or just building up the PT side. But a lot of the struggles that come down to the mindset side, and we don't believe that there is anything like what we're just creating right now. And when we finish this episode, we're going to get cracking working on this. And in this program, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be covering, literally over a 7-day period, we're going to be covering every different area of the way that you think, your confidence levels, firing up your motivation, how to stay motivated, getting outside of your comfort zone, knowing your direction, knowing your life's purpose, how to get creative, managing your ideas, prioritizing, managing your time, why we procrastinate, time blocking. I'm just going through, like, literally there's hundreds of little things that we've got in this program which we're going to be covering, like even things like just getting you into the right state of mind to build your business. Maybe you find yourself struggling at times and you're like, why am I not at the level of income that matches my knowledge? And a lot of it is about the way that you think. Also your support network, the people that you're around, vision boards, how to get away from the people that are draining you, and how to really take action, hustle, and take yourself to the next level. And this is going to be an information product, but also it's going to be, worksheets and, really things to get you in the right frame of mind so that you can start to action those things. So if you want to find out about when the program is released and also when we release the competition for you to win a copy, head to thefitpreneurs.com/start. And you can put your details in there, and you will be notified. We talking about email. We only want to send you guys stuff that is powerful and that educates you and that moves you forward to get you to your goals. And we're hand on heart. That's what the intention of this podcast is, and that's the intention of this product too. So we're super pumped about that, and we're going to have a blast recording that. Moving on through the show,
we'll go to the quote of the week. The quote this week is, I think, very appropriate for anybody, even ourselves. And that is, it's take wrong turns, talk to strangers, open unmarked doors, and if you see a group of people in a field, go find out what they are doing. Do things without always knowing how they'll turn out. And that's by Randall Munroe. And I love that quote. I think it's so powerful. I think, everyone is so scared to get outside their comfort zone, and everyone always wants to know what the outcome's going to be or what the final result is going to be. Everyone is so focused on the end result, and sometimes they miss the journey and the enjoyment of the process. And it's something that, for me in my life, like I'm very goal orientated, and sometimes it's hard to stop and enjoy the moment because I'm always focused on pushing to that next level. And this quote, I just loved it because I think that, a lot of the times we ignore what's right in front of our face, and we don't talk to random people, and we don't interact, and we don't open ourselves up for opportunities, and who knows where those opportunities will lead. And I think a lot of your trip this time has been about, we've been doing a lot of fun stuff and doing things we don't normally do, getting outside our comfort zone. And so I just thought this quote was really fitting for this week.
Definitely. Love it. A couple of shout outs on the web. Khaled has been taking massive action with Business of the Month, getting results, which is awesome. You had your interview with Adam.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that last episode?
I don't think you were doing it at all about Adam. So Adam Lewis Walker, he has podcasts called Awaken the Alpha. Podcast called Awaken the Alpha. And it's phenomenal. He's crushing it with it, interviewing some really powerful people. For some reason he interviewed me, and I think he interviewed you too. So a couple of black marks on his notes there. But he's crushing it. Big fan of our podcast too, and it's cool to see another fellow fitpreneur busting stuff out.
Yeah, so congrats, Adam, on your progress. We have a quick question from Jack Webbs, who asks, I was wondering if you or the podcast might offer some advice to trainers who aren't already established in any real sense. I've landed somewhere new and strange recently. I've not been training professionally for a little while now, and the budget is tight. The brand practically non-existent. It would be great to have some advice or suggestions on how I can compete on a different level or not.
Well, we kind of had a whole, with the early episodes, we talked about this quite a bit on creating positioning, expert authority, how to, the law, what was it? How many laws did we have? I can't even remember now.
Like 20.
18 or something
18,
like that.
No, it was 18.
18 laws of being a fitpreneur. I would go back and listen to those 2 episodes and take copious notes to start. But in general, you got to start somewhere. And I think the best thing to do is to go out to hustle, to get your clients to start getting results. If you've had results from previous, wherever you were before, you can leverage that as well. And I think that the key with it is start to build a name in locally for you. And can you do this quick? It doesn't have to be slow. thanks to the power of Facebook advertising and other formats of stuff you can do, word of mouth and referrals. And, we just did the referral system thing, and we talked about basically how quickly you could build your business based off of if you just had 3 people the first month where you could go to. So I would go back, listen to those episodes, but I would just start right now. I wouldn't wait. My focus would be on that one client, getting that first client, and then moving forward.
Definitely, and just go out and talk to local businesses who have the type of clients that you want to attract, juice bars, local chiropractors. Start to build some joint ventures and start to go out there and provide some value. And the truth is, and I talk about this a lot, there's no shortage of people who want help. But if you have a confidence and you have the fear of how many people might react, then you can have someone with exactly the same knowledge and someone has a hustle level of 10 versus a hustle level of 5, right? The results of those two people are going to be completely different. It's just a mindset change. So, it's that kind of gun to the head approach. If you had to get a client today, what would you do? Just ask yourself that question. If you had to get a client today, what would you do? If things are serious, and just go out and you will find the answer. Just, there's lots of little things that you can do, especially with local businesses. But just by starting to talk with them and tell them about what you do and say, look, even if you slightly blag it a little bit and say, look, go and approach these businesses and say, I've got a bunch of clients. That you're going to have a bunch of clients that may want your services. It would be great to know more about what you do. That's going to spark a conversation about what you do, and then they might say, oh, I've actually got someone that might be interested. Like you could be amazed at. I've had conversation on aeroplanes with people, and it's turned into like some level of business or something, but I didn't expect. But just by opening a conversation,
yeah, and it goes back to the quote. Get out of your comfort zone, talk to strangers. That's the thing. There's really you can't go wrong here when you're starting out. I mean, the worst thing you can do is get a no, and you'll be with no clients, just like you were before. So you just can't be scared of that, getting a no,
Think about where your market is in your area and where they're going. There may be a meetup group. Just go to meetup.com, check out the area, see what type of groups there are, go along. You may pick up some clients from there.
All right, let's move on to the book of the week, and then we'll wrap it up with the challenge. I definitely should. We should be filming this episode. Just don't start flinging your poop at me.
By whoever's editing this podcast, that has to be the intro. The Chimp Paradox is a great book. If you know anything about ego, then a lot of the time we spend time as ourselves. I hand on heart. This is Simon, and over there right now is AJ. We're being ourselves. We're being goofy. You heard it, right? I was being a chimp, right? But in the Chimp Paradox, it talks about ego, and basically ego is the chimp, which is the person who restricts you from doing what you do, that causes you anxiety, that sends all the negative messages in your head that you can't do stuff. So I would definitely recommend picking up the Chimp Paradox, because this also links to the product which we're developing, which is all about mindset and the reasons why we do what we do. Jack, who wants to start that new business in that new local area, if actions aren't being taken, it's down to the ego coming in and saying, you can't do that. Yeah. You can't do certain things. What happens if? Fear. A lot of things come back to fear. If you don't post things on Facebook, if you don't reach out to local businesses, it's not because you don't know that you could get business from that. It's because of your mind creating stories of, I'm going to get rejected here.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Chimp Paradox is a great book. I'm only partly way through it, and it's already become a recommendation. So I got that on Kindle, and check that out.
Yeah, and so it kind of leads to the challenge and wrapping it up. Basically, what I want you to do this week is a personal challenge. Don't need to share it with us unless you want to. But basically, every time you start to think of doing something, every time you have an idea, every time you think of a promotion or you think of something to grow your business, or something you want to do, every time you think about it, but then you fail to take action, I just want you to make a note of that. I want you to write down how many times you hold yourself back, okay? And the reason for that is awareness is key. And when you see how many things that your mind is processing and how many ideas you're actually coming up with, and then actually how many times you're getting in your own way, it's very eye-opening to the sense that, a lot of times we're like, I don't know how to grow my business. I don't know what I need to do next. And our mind is actually giving us all the answers. And a lot of times, if we just sit in silence and 15, 20 minutes of silence every day, we'll get the answers to all our questions. Most of the time, we're just not listening. And so I want you to start to listen. I want you to start to take note of all the things you come up with. And then I want you to take note on how many of those things you actually take action on. If you do that for the next week, you're going to be very, very, very surprised at where you are and what's going on in that in the mind of yours. And you're probably going to end up with a list of things that you go and take action on, because now you have kind of a blueprint. So many of you are learning all the time. Chances are this isn't the only podcast you listen to on business, especially fitness business, as there's quite a few now. Chances are you've bought products before. Chances are you've invested maybe in a coach. And there's a good chance that you have a lot of things in your head that you're just not doing. And so this week I want you to sit, I want you to listen, and I want you to start paying attention to that. And, that will make sense in later episodes.
And thanks for watching the Jerry Springer Show.
I try to watch that.
It sounded like Jerry, right?
Literally the other day, I was working from home because of the heat, and I was like, I'll just work on the couch, and I said I'll put the TV on in the background, and I never watch TV. I don't even know what's on during the day. Jerry Springer Show. So I'll put Jerry Springer on. With the wildfires out here, they had news on every channel, so I didn't get to watch Jerry Springer, and I was actually disappointed a little bit. I wanted a little bit of drama in my life for the day. But
so in the next episode, we'll be talking about my new girlfriend, the chimp. This is getting stupid now. Anyway,
we better wrap it up.
Yeah, guys, head to your Facebook, and if you could just put in "love the episode, guys," tag the Fitpreneurs, just so we see who you are in the news feed. Just do that right now. Just go "love the episode," or "hey guys," tag the Fitpreneurs in it, and you'll come up with a news feed. We'll connect with you and say hi, whatever. Would love to connect with you guys. We will see you in the next episode, where we are going to be talking about. We have no idea yet.
Something amazing. It will blow your mind.
Take it easy. We'll see you next time.
Guys, thanks for the killer episode. Listen, if you want to take your fitness business to the next level, terminate your competition, create ultimate freedom, buy new houses, cars, which could blow up, travel the world, or open your own gym where you can lift really heavy weights, then head to www.thefitpreneurs.com/free call for details on how to apply for your free accelerator call. Until the next episode, hasta la vista, Fit Pros.